Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is block number 5 in the Starlight Starbright quilt-along, and we're going to be making the butterfly block. So if you want to see how to make a quilt block like this, please stay tuned. I'm so excited that you're joining me for the Starlight Starbright quilt-along. This is actually block number 5 that we're going to put together today. I have the blocks behind me that I've made already for this quilt. We have the friendship star, the freewheeling star, the ribbon tail star, and the two-way star. Today we're going to do the butterfly star. All of these blocks were inspired by the Block a Day book by Lucinda Ganderton, and she gives you 365 quilt blocks that you can make in that book, and I have changed the size of them just a little bit. And for my size, I'm going to put a download on my blog. You can check that out and see how I put it together, but we're also going to go over that in the video here. The block again that we're making today is the butterfly star. Here it is. And before I make each of the blocks, I color them on my on a little template that I made. And so here you can see it. At the top it's in the blue, and then at the bottom it's in the red. And so I would, let's see, I don't know if I can, if I go close to it, I'm afraid you won't be able to see it. Okay, but there it is. And then I have my completed red and black block here. Actually, it goes this way. And so today I'm going to put it together in the blue colorway, and I will show you each step of that. I'm going to start by showing you the cut squares, and then we will get started sewing. I turned the camera around so that hopefully you'll be able to see this just a little bit better. This is the drawing I made for each of the colorways, just to kind of get my bearings around which colors should go where and how to put the blocks together. This is also going to be available, not this particular sheet, but I'm making a download for this, and it's going to be available on my blog. I will link it in the description below so you can check that out. Now, what's cool about this block is that we are going to be making hourglass blocks, and this was my first time experimenting with hourglass blocks, so I'm really excited about how they turned out. And so what you have is a center block surrounded by 4 hourglass blocks, and then the corners are half square triangle blocks. And this technique is very simple. The only thing right here is that we use 4 different fabrics. So we have the inner hourglass, the outer hourglass, the half square triangles, and the background. And for this block, all of the background is the same. Now, I've already cut my pieces, but I'll go over what I'm using with you here so that you can see the shapes and the sizes and the colors. So for my inner hourglass, my inner hourglass, I've cut 1 6.5-inch square. And then for my outer hourglasses, I've cut 2 6.5-inch squares. And you can see them both here. Okay. And then for the half square triangles, I've cut 2 6-inch squares. So you can see that they're just a little bit smaller than the hourglass blocks. So there are, there's 1 6.5-inch square for the center, 2 6.5-inch squares for the outer hourglasses, and then 2 6-inch squares for the half square triangles. Now, since this quilt is made, or this block is made using half square triangles, I have the exact same measurements in the background. So there are 3 of the 6.5-inch squares background, and then 2 of the 6-inch squares. And my first step is actually going to be to flip over these background squares, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line corner to corner on every one of these squares. I will do that right quick, and I will show you what's next. I have all the lines drawn here on my background fabric. Now I'm just going to line up each one of these right sides together with a color square. And the smaller blocks are gonna go on this darkest blue, which is for the half square triangles. The larger blocks are gonna go on the hourglass blocks. So I'm going to line all these up, and you've seen me sew on either side of this dotted or this drawn line several times, so I won't show you that on camera. I'm just gonna take care of this step. I'm stitching a 1/4 inch on each side of the drawn line for all of these squares, and then I will come back after I've cut them apart. I have all of my half square triangles made. I went ahead and cut between the stitch lines. I have pressed them all to the dark fabric, and I have squared them up. Now this is all of the little scrap from the square up, and I'm just gonna put that into the trash right here. I squared up my larger half square triangles to 6 inches and the smaller ones to 5.5 inches. These, the half square triangles for the corners are done, so I'm just gonna set them aside. Now for the next step, I'm going to take I'm gonna take 2 of the outer half square triangles or outer hourglass HSTs, and then I'm gonna take 1 of the center hourglass HSTs, and I'm just gonna draw a line from corner to corner on it, but I want the line to cross both of the fabrics, so I'm not gonna draw the lines this way. I'm going to draw it this way. So I'll do that, and then I'll do one on camera right here so you can see it, and then I'll do the other 2 off camera. So let's see, here we go. Just drawing from corner to corner here. And I'm using just a pen that I have. This part won't be seen because it'll be in the seam allowance. So for this part, I don't feel like it matters what you use to mark your block. All right, let's see. I hope you can see that there. And I'm gonna do the other 2 off camera. Again, I'm just doing 2 of these. I'm not doing all 4. So I'll do these off camera, and then I'll show you the next step. I have the lines drawn for on the HSTs, and so now I'm just gonna take the ones that I don't have the lines drawn on, and I'm gonna match these right sides together. So let me make sure I have the right ones, because this is what's gonna create the hourglass block. So I'm just gonna take these, and I'm gonna put them right sides together. These are the 2 for the center. Okay, and I'm going to place them with the background square on top of the color square, and then the color square on top of the background square. All right, and so here you can see like this. That's what's going to create our hourglass blocks. And because I've pressed to the dark side on these half square triangles, that's going to give us a nice nesting seam, and that's what we want. Okay, after I match everything up, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the half square triangles. I'm going to stitch on either side of this the drawn line, and so I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you the next step. I can't wait for you to see this. Blocks ready to be stitched, or well, I have them made, and I cut on that drawn line, and so I'm going to show you what I have now when you open it up. So look at that. Isn't that so cute? This is our hourglass block, and what we need to do now is see how we're going to press these. Actually first, for the outer, these are my outer hourglasses, I need 4 of these. So all of the ones that I've made for the outer, I'm gonna keep all 4 of these. Here we go. And so for the center, you actually get 2 blocks, okay? But you only need 1 of them. So this one, or one of these will go to another project, okay? Now, let's talk about how to press these. I So what you want, or what I want to do, is I want to make the seams go all in the same direction so that the block will lie a little flatter. I want to zoom in so that you can see what I'm doing. So basically what I'm going to do is sort of swirl the seams. So I'm just going to pull this off, and I want the seam allowances, all 4 of them, to go in the same direction. So all I'm going to do is I'm kind of pulling this block apart a little bit, and then I'm going to just pull out these stitches up here that are at the top. All I did was move 1 seam allowance to one side, 1 seam allowance to the other side, and those is like 2 or 3 stitches. They're going to pop out. And then I'm just going to kind of mash it down a little bit to get this seam flat. And then when I go to the iron, I'll press it either way, or press it on both sides like this so that it'll lay how I want it to lay. Okay, and what you'll see is a little 4 patch in the middle of that block. So I'm going to do this for all of my remaining 4 blocks, give them a good press, and then we'll be ready to lay out the block. I have all of my blocks ready to go. These are my hourglass blocks. These are my half square triangle blocks. This is the little scrap that I cut off of all of my hourglass blocks. That's all the scrap that's cut off. So you can see there's very little waste with this method. Now it's time to lay out the block. And the key for this one is in how you turn the hourglasses. So I have my picture, I put my picture over here so I can remember how to do it. Now the center block, the color pieces point out. And then it's the same for the ones above and below it. Okay. And then for the outside blocks, the color parts, they do face out as well, but they face, so they're facing towards the corners. Okay. And then the half square triangles have the dark pointing out toward the edge of the block. So I am just gonna lay these out. And the sewing is very simple. I'm just gonna sew this together in horizontal rows, and then I'm gonna sew the rows together. I will let you see that on camera, but I'll speed it up. So here we go. Finished butterfly star block. I am really happy with the way this block turned out. I love the way the colors play out with each other in this block. I'm gonna put it right here. Well, no, before I do that, the seams on this one do not always nest, so just kind of be aware of that. Because of the way that that I pressed the seams on the pinwheels, since sometimes they go to the light, there's a little bit of bulk in some spots on the quilt, or on the block. What I try to do is always press towards the path of the least seam allowances. So where it's possible, I've pressed toward the half square triangle. That means that the top row and the bottom row, those seams are pressed out. And then for the horizontal rows, the seams are pressed to the top and the bottom of the block. So, so that we have some, hopefully some pretty flat seams. Be aware though, because of all these quarter square triangles, all these intersections, there may be a little bit of bulk as you're stitching. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so these are the blocks that I have so far in our blue colorway for this quilt. There are 5 of them, 5 in the red and black. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!